This time, Hal Perry and Barrie Craig. Hello, Victor Ives inviting you to join us for the golden age of radio theater. Welcome to the program that turns back the clock so we can relive the golden moments of radio's yesteryear and bring you the greatest radio shows of all time. On this particular pairing, we've got The Great Gildersleeve, starring Hal Perry from a 1947 broadcast, and from 1951, William Gargan on Barrie Craig, Confidential Investigator. First, let's find out what's happening in Summerfield. We got the gist of the story is that the Jolly Boys Club all thinks that Judge Hooker is on his deathbed in this January 15th, 1947 broadcast.
Well, you ought to be in Summerfield. The drizzle that started Friday afternoon and threatened to spoil the weekend turned suddenly to snow last night. Great feathery flakes that floated down and spread a white blanket of silence over the whole town. The kids were up early this morning, pelting each other and leaping and rolling and wallowing in it. When Gildersleeve rubbed the sleep from his eyes and looked out upon it, one thing came instantly to his mind. And apparently it had come to others.
Hello. Hello, Chief. Gildersleeve. Say, have you looked out your window, Chief? You see what's out there? Well, sure. Well, of course. We'll never get a better snow for it than this. He did, eh? Good for Floyd. Oh, tell him to line up his cousin's sleigh. Tell him to pile some nice, clean straw in it. Oh, and tell him... What's that? Don't you worry about the girls, Chief. You know who's in charge of the Committee on Arrangements? Yours truly. Can Will Weaver come out and play?
Throckmorton. You look like a snowman.
Yeah, it's still coming down.
Oh, it's so beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, beautiful. Say,
Look there, the delicate tracery of those bare branches.
Yeah, branches. Say...
And the fresh fallen snow so blue in the shadows. And where the sun catches it, the way it shimmers.
Yeah, shimmers. Say, Eve...
Oh, but come inside. Take your coat off.
No, I better not. It's all over snow. And besides, I've got a lot of other calls to make.
We'll step into the hall anyway. It's cold out here.
Well...
Oh, that's all right.
Say, Eve, how'd you... Well, I will take this scarf off. Christmas present. Keeps getting in my mouth. Say, Eve, how'd you like to go for a sleigh ride?
A sleigh ride? Oh, I think that would be wonderful. Where on earth would you get a sleigh?
Well, Floyd Munson's cousin's got one. He delivers milk in.
Oh. Well, I think that would be fun.
Fun? You bet it's fun.
Country's so beautiful right now. I'd love to drive out and see some of it.
Well, you wouldn't see too much. We'd be going at night. Tomorrow night, that is.
But why go at night?
More fun that way.
Oh. Well, I've never gone on midnight sleigh rides.
Oh, come on, Eve. Everybody else is going.
Oh, we wouldn't be alone then.
Alone?
Oh, well, in that case...
Sure, you'll have plenty of chaperones. All the Jolly Boys will be there.
Oh. Well, I don't know.
They're all nice fellows, Eve. Every one of them. Of course, some are nicer than others, but we keep an eye on him.
Well, I don't
Gosh, it wouldn't be a sleigh ride without you, Eve. The fellows were all counting on you to be the queen of the winter carnival, so to speak.
Is Mr. Peavy going?
Peavy?
Well, if Mr. Peavy goes, I'll go.
Listen, Peavy wouldn't miss it. He'll go if I have to drag him.
Then tell your friends the Queen is honored and accepts with pleasure.
Glad you could make it, Eve. See you tomorrow night.
You'll call for me here.
I'll be here with bells on.
We'll return to Hal Perry as The Great Gildersleeve in just a moment.
Well, your mother wouldn't have to know, would she? We wouldn't have to drive right up in front. We could stop down the block a little ways. See, the boys are going to be awfully disappointed. They were sort of counting on you to be the queen of the sleigh ride.
Well...
8 o'clock tomorrow. Say, you haven't got a friend, have you? Down down by the old mill stream. Hi, Floyd, Chief.
Hi, Commissioner.
Only you two making all this noise? I thought you had the whole Metropolitan Chorus up here and a couple of dogs.
Oh, no, Commissioner. Only us dogs.
Yeah, just killing time till the rest came.
Oh, where are they? What's the matter? Listen, we got to get all our arrangements made tonight, or there won't be any sleigh ride tomorrow.
Well, Peeve ought to be along soon as he closes up. I don't know about the judge. I heard he wasn't feeling so good.
Yes, how is the judge? Has anybody heard?
The old goat, what's the matter with him?
Well, he's got the flu or the pip or something.
Oh? Come to think of it, I haven't heard from the old gent in 2 or 3 days. Kind of a relief, as a matter of fact. Nothing serious, Chief.
I don't know. I suppose we could call him.
Who's that?
That you, Peeve? Wait a minute, here comes Peavy. Maybe he'd know.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Well, all present are accounted for now, except Hooker.
Say, how is the judge, Phoebe? Have you heard?
Yeah, how is he?
I'm afraid Judge Hooker is a sick man, gentlemen.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Really? I mean, really sick? How sick, Peavy?
Yeah, is he bad?
Well, I'm not a physician, gentlemen.
We know that.
I don't like to make a diagnosis without having seen a patient. Even if I did, I couldn't because, as I say, I'm not a physician.
We know all that, Peavy. But how is he?
Well, as I say, I haven't seen the judge. I only know what I've heard.
Well, what do you hear?
Well, I didn't hear this from Dr. Pettibone.
He's out of town.
That's right, Floyd.
I know. I give him a going-away haircut.
So, evidently the judge or his housekeeper called in Dr. Frieden.
Never heard of him. Who's he?
He's a new doctor, a young fellow. He lives over on the other side of town.
Don't he ever get a haircut?
Yeah, never mind that.
Oh.
What did he say, Peavy?
Well, I really don't know him well enough to be too inquisitive, but I'll say this for Dr. Frieden. He may be young, but he writes a nice, legible prescription.
Never mind how he writes. What did he say?
Yes, tell us, Phoebe.
Well, you know doctors, they don't say much, but I was wrapping up his prescription, and I asked him casually how Judge Hooker was. And he shook his head.
Oh, gosh.
That's bad.
Of course, I don't know whether he was shaking his head over the judge's health or his disposition, but what I go by is this. He wrote out a pretty stiff prescription for the old gentleman.
Yeah?
Penicillin.
Penicillin? Oh, that's usually a last resort, isn't it?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that.
They use it. They use it to treat pneumonia. I know that.
Yes, Chief, they do in certain types of cases.
Oh, the judge is no chicken anymore, fellas. Wouldn't take much to carry him off.
Gosh. And to think only last Saturday he was sitting right there in that chair looking just as natural.
Yeah. That's right, Floyd.
Gentlemen, I'd like to make a motion, if I may.
Yeah, Peeve?
Go ahead.
In view of the circumstances, I think we should postpone our sleigh ride tomorrow night. I don't think...
Hey, but what about the girls?
Phoebe's right. I don't think we should hold our sleigh ride without the judge.
Besides, our hearts wouldn't be in it.
Well, what about the girls after we went and asked them and everything?
Floyd, it wouldn't look right.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
It's been moved and seconded that we postpone our annual sleigh ride scheduled for tomorrow night and that our lady guests be so notified. All in favor?
I nominate Gildersleeve, a committee of one to disappoint the girls.
No, wait a minute.
Well, you started it. You invited them.
Fellas, I'd like to make a motion of my own if you'll give me a chance.
Go ahead, Chief.
I'd like to move that the judge's empty chair there be set apart as his exclusively with a suitable plaque.
Well, Chief, I think we ought to wait on the plaque. Till we, see how things turn out. It's a nice thought.
Well, maybe so. I was just thinking what Floyd said. How he could remember him sitting there.
Like it was yesterday.
I guess we all can. And I thought it'd be nice if we did something.
Well, gentlemen, why don't we do something the judge can enjoy? That is, if he can enjoy anything now.
Like what, Phoebe?
Well, you could send him some little token, something useful maybe.
Like a hot water bottle?
Floyd.
Flowers. That's what you send the invalid. Yeah, flowers. Why don't we send him some flowers?
Roses are nice. The judge is always puttering around among his roses. They smell nice, too.
He probably couldn't smell them. Head's probably stopped up.
You're always finding fault.
All right, so it isn't stopped up. Maybe they got him in an oxygen tent by now, for all we know. Maybe he can't smell a thing.
All right, shove the roses in the tent with him, but stop raising objections.
Well,
Okay. He likes roses. He likes them. Give him roses. Just so it ain't lilies.
Floyd, I think that last remark was in bad taste.
Well, he started it.
I don't think the judge would want us quarreling over him before he's dead, even.
I don't think that's such hot taste.
I didn't mean it that way. What I mean is I think the judge would want us all to be jolly boys and carry on, just as if he was, well, as if he was here.
The chief is right. That's the way I'd want it. Yes, sir. I wouldn't want my friends all sitting around here with long faces. Let there be no moaning at the bar when I put out to sea. You know what I think we ought to do, fellas? I think we ought to have a song.
Now you're talking.
Oh, gentlemen, do you think we really ought to?
One of the judge's favorites.
The judge would want it that way, Peavy.
That's right. The judge would want it that way.
Well,
You know what the judge's favorite is?
Yeah, but who's going to take the solo part? The judge usually takes that. That's why it's his favorite.
I will take the solo, Floyd.
You? Why you?
The judge would want it that way.
I think he's right. Give us a chord, Floyd.
Okay.
Sylvia's hair is like the night, touched with glancing starry beams. Such a face as drifts through dreams. This is Sylvia through the sky.
Take it, Commissioner.
And the touch of Sylvia's hand. I can't do it, fellas. I can't do it. It's not the same without the judge.
No, it's not.
I remember him just like he was sitting there.
gentlemen, I move we adjourn before we make fools of ourselves.
We'll return to Hal Perry as the Great Gildersleeve in just a moment.
Now let's get back to the Great Gildersleeve. Gildersleeve and his niece and nephew had been to church, it being Sunday. We joined the family as they shuffled homeward through the snowy streets.
Leroy, I want you to shovel the snow off our front walk the very first thing after dinner.
After dinner?
After dinner?
Today?
Today.
This is Sunday.
I don't care if it's... Be sure and do it the first thing Monday morning.
Okay. Maybe by Monday it'll be melted. I'm hungry. I hope Bertie's got a good dinner for us.
Yeah, me too. That's one thing about going to church. Gives you an appetite. And then there's the spiritual values. Get the snow off your feet, my boy. Bertie wouldn't want you tracking it all over the floor. You don't have to kick the house down.
I can smell the dinner. I'm starved.
Yes, yes. Well, we can just sit quietly till it's ready.
Can't I play the radio, Unc? It's an educational program.
Educational?
A football quiz.
We'll just sit quietly, my boy. You might go up and wash your hands.
I washed them for church.
I guess you'll do then. Maybe I should call up and find out how he is.
Yes, why don't you?
Don't like to phone his house at a time like this. Still,
Ask if there's anything we can do, Unky.
I will.
What could there be? Doesn't matter. There might be some little errand.
Hello, Mrs. Fogel? This is Mr. Gildersleeve. I don't like to intrude at a time like this, but at the same time, being such a close friend. How is he, Mrs. Fogel? I see. Oh, that's bad. Well, I thought I might stop by this afternoon with some flowers, but if you think not, I'll come by then. Thank you, Mrs. Fogel.
What's the word, Unc?
Not good. Poor old horse. Well, I want you children always to remember him. Remember all he's done for you.
What?
The interest he's taken in you. An interest which has gone far, far beyond the call of duty. He's been a good friend to all of us. a friend, and an inspiration.
What did Mrs. Fogel say?
Well, you know how hard it is to get anything out of her.
Oh, she's such an old crepe hanger.
I wish I'd given him a Christmas present now.
What did he give you?
Nothing. We made an agreement not to give each other anything this year. Naturally, I didn't think he meant it, so I got him some pipe tobacco. But then he never gave me anything, so I took the tobacco back to Peavy's. I'm sorry now.
Well, if he gets well, you can give it to him.
I will, too, by George. I surely will.
I'm hungry. Hey, Bertie, when is dinner?
Leroy! I will not have you shouting at Bertie.
Just a few minutes now, Leroy.
I found that we've got to learn to communicate with each other quietly around here. I've been meaning to speak to Bertie about it, too. Bert! Leroy asked Bertie to come here for a moment. Go out in the kitchen and ask her.
Okay.
One of the signs of a well-run household is a quiet, peaceful atmosphere. Remember that, Marjorie.
I will. Was there something you wanted, Mr. Gildersleeve?
I've been meaning to speak to you about a habit of yours, Bertie. Well, kind of a family habit, I guess. Leroy shouts all over the house, and you shout back at him.
You holler a little yourself, Uncle.
Well, when everybody's doing it, I'm liable to slip once in a while. Just kind of watch it, will you, Bertie?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Mr. Gildersleeve. I didn't know I was bothering anybody.
He's worried today, Bertie, about Judge Hooker.
Something the matter with the judge?
He's not expected to live, Bertie.
Oh, my land.
They put him in an oxygen tent, giving him transfusions.
Transfusions?
If the doctor knows his business. Poor old Judge. He's been a good friend of ours, hasn't he, Bertie?
Yes, sir, he sure has. But I ain't surprised to hear he's sick. A bachelor eating in restaurants all the time. Man's got to have home cooking if he wants to live a long time.
He's got a housekeeper.
She only comes in 2 days a week.
Yes, sir, man's got to have home cooking.
That's probably important, Bertie, but the judge has pneumonia.
Home cooking, that's the answer. Yes, sir, home cooking.
Yeah, now Bertie's all upset. You see how fond everyone is of the judge?
Bertie's always liked him.
Sorry I ever called him an old goat. Not that I ever meant anything by it. He was a fine man. Fine man. Now remember, when we get inside, Floyd, try to keep your voice down, will you?
Why pick me out? I've been around.
Shut up.
Have you rung the bell yet? I'm cold.
Oh, stop whining, Pee-Pee. For heaven's sake, let's think about the judge a little, shall we?
That's right, fellas. Let's think about the judge. After all, he's the one.
Jigger, she's coming.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Fogel. We're a little group of the judge's best friends. We've come to pay a little visit and bring him some flowers.
Yeah, some flowers.
I don't know if you can see him or not. You'll have to ask the doctor. You can come in and wait until the doctor gets here if you like.
Thank you.
You gentlemen will just leave your coats here in the hall.
Yeah, I think I'll keep mine on if you don't mind.
Yeah, me too. We won't be hanging around very long.
And if you'll just come in the parlor.
Yeah, watch the carpet, fellas.
Might as well. Well, it seems awful quiet. Where is he, Mrs. Fogel?
His room's directly above.
Oh? Well, we'll just sit here. Has there been any change in his condition?
No change.
I see.
What is his condition?
He just stays about the same. Maybe the doctor can tell you something when he comes, although he never tells me anything.
That's a bad sign.
Yeah, afraid so.
Well, if you gentlemen will excuse me, I have some work to attend to.
Yeah, go right ahead, Mrs. Fogel. We don't want to be any bother.
That's all right, Mr. Gildersleeve.
It just don't seem possible, does it, fellas?
What, John?
About the judge. Why, only a week ago, he was his regular old self. Lively, cheerful, with a twinkle in his eye. You know.
Yeah, he looked okay to me last time he was in the shop. 5 days ago. He was in for a trim, and he climbed right up in the chair just as chipper.
Well, I saw him Wednesday, and I thought he looked a little peaked. Then again, maybe that's just hindsight.
Just think, Peavy. I guess you were the last one that saw him.
Oh, no, he wasn't. I saw him Wednesday. I bet I saw him after Peavy.
Well, what time did you see him, Commissioner?
About 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
When did you see him, Peavy?
About 4.
Well, now, wait a minute. On second thought, I believe I saw him around 4:30.
I thought you said 3.
I saw him at 4:30. I was the last man that saw him alive.
He came back to the store again around 5.
Why don't you stick to your story? You're just trying to get some glory out of this.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Fellas. Judge is laying up there, and how do you think this sounds?
Chief's right.
Well,
Him laying up there and us fighting down here.
Well, I didn't mean any disrespect.
well, neither did I. The last thing I'd want to do. After all, I guess I was closer to the judge than the rest of us.
Like ducks you were. I've known him 20 years. I've been cutting his hair 20 years. A barber gets to know a fella pretty well.
Well, I've known him 25 years, personally and professionally.
And I've been selling him liver pills for 30 years.
Well, under the circumstances, that's nothing to brag about. Anyway, the judge was practically a member of my family. One of the finest men I ever knew.
Yes, sir. What a heart.
Good old Horace.
Yeah.
He was true blue. Well, you never know when your time is going to come.
Oh, we're here today and gone tomorrow.
Tempus fugit.
What'd you say, Peavy?
He said tempus fugit. That's French. It means time flies.
Oh. Yes, that's right.
What the...
Hey, what's going on upstairs?
Judge, he must be delirious.
Mrs. Fogle! Mrs. Fogle, where the devil are you?
Sounds like he's having a spasm.
Where the devil is my chicken broth?
Mrs. Fogle, quick, the chicken. The judge.
My golly, I don't know why I can't have my broth on time. Here it is, 3:15. Well, what the dickens are you fellas doing here? Glad to see you.
Hooker, we thought you were dead. I mean dying.
Well, I'm not. What's more, I can prove it.
I'll be darned. Who started this rumor?
Yes, where'd it come from?
Peavy, he's the one. You told us he was at death's door.
Well, no, I didn't say that.
How do you like that? He's no sicker than I am.
Of course not. Say, how about a game of cards? Come on up to my
Cards
room.
my eye. We can call up the girls again and have our sleigh ride.
Good idea.
Fellas, please.
There's nothing the matter with you, you old goat. You spoiled our sleigh ride in the first place. Come on, fellas.
But Gildy.
Get some flowers, Judge. So long.
Yeah, so long, Horace. Go on back to bed. Dave, look at that beautiful moon. Isn't it beautiful?
It certainly is. And the snow always looks so lovely at the moonlight.
Yeah. Say, aren't you cold, Eve?
Oh, no, I'm perfectly comfortable.
Just thought you might snuggle up a little. I'm cold.
You are?
Oh, I'm freezing.
Well, goodness. I wouldn't want you to freeze to death.
Atta girl.
Oh, Mr. Munson, you're terrible.
Oh, no, I ain't so bad. Am I, Peavy?
Floyd, you're terrible and I'm cold.
You should have brought a girl. Hey, maybe we could sing a song, warm Peavy up. How about a song, Chief?
Good idea. Start something, Commissioner.
Well, let's see. Any of you girls know Aunt Dinah's quilting party?
I'm afraid I don't. Me either. Why don't you boys sing it? We'll listen.
Okay. The Jolly Boys Quartet. In the sky, the bright stars glittered. On the banks, the pale moon shone. And was from Aunt Dinah's quilting party. We were seeing Nellie home. We were seeing Nellie home.
Seeing her home.
We were seeing Nellie home.
Seeing her home.
And was from Aunt Dinah's quilting party. We were seeing Nellie home.
Nellie home.
Say, fellas, you know something?
Well, what, Commissioner?
I'm glad Hooker couldn't come along. We sound a lot better without it. We
were
were seeing Nellie home.
Seeing her home.
We were seeing Nellie home.
Earl Ross created and is playing the role of Judge Hooker. You're listening to the Golden Age of Radio Theater. Part 2 of the Golden Age of Radio Theater this time, Barrie Craig, confidential investigator, starring William Gargan, and the case of the Philanthropist's Bride, broadcast May 7th, 1951.
Barrie Craig speaking. That's the name, Barrie Craig. You rent an office on the 3rd floor of the old Mercantile Building. You've got a city license which says you're a confidential investigator. So most of your life you sit around and wait. Some of the guys in the business hire blondes and call them secretaries. Others confide in cab drivers, bend bartenders' ears, even buy dictating machines. Maybe it helps them forget that they're the loneliest guys in the world, because nobody really talks to you. The suspicious wives, the frightened parents, the desperate kids who walk into your office never even see you. To them, you're a license, a pair of ears, sometimes a gun. Nothing human. And after a while, maybe you're not. It's open.
How do you lock this door?
There's a thing underneath the doorknob there. You slide it over.
Oh, yeah. You're Barrie Craig.
Yeah.
You're not doing very well, are you? I could write my name on the dust on your desk.
What name would that be?
Wilma Lord.
How do you do, Miss Lord?
Mr. Craig, have you ever killed anyone?
Not for a fee.
Will you answer a question about the weather?
I don't know much about the weather. Well, why'd you lock the door behind you, Miss Lord?
I can't have anybody see me here.
There's a woman comes around a couple of times a week. I'll speak to her about the dust.
Oh, that's not... I'm going to marry a man named John Waring.
Uh-huh.
He's older than I am, a lot older.
It's a question of taste.
He's rich.
Sweetens the taste.
We're going to be married in a few weeks. I want nothing to happen to that marriage. I'll hire you.
Cupid Craig, with a $sign in front of the Cupid. What do you think might happen?
Death.
Something wrong with Waring's health?
You've heard of murder, haven't you?
I've heard of it. Whose murder, yours or Waring's? The door's locked. Whose murder?
I can't stay. Is there another way out?
Back of the water cooler. Leads to the back hallway and the fire stairs.
I'll phone you.
Sure. Yeah?
Get out of my way.
That gun a little heavy for you?
I said...
Okay. Well?
The dame. Where's the dame?
You don't look too good.
Where is she?
Got a name for her?
The dame. Walked in here, I seen her.
And now you want to take another look?
Want to give her back a knife? Knife?
The floor stopped him. I kicked the door shut behind him. The knife he'd mentioned was angling out between his shoulder blades. I didn't want anybody to confuse him with a client. The homicide squad arrived and went to work. I don't like watching the boys. They're too smooth. I start thinking of all the stiffs they've practiced on. I shut my eyes.
Are we boring you, Craig?
Lieutenant Rogers, I've seen it all before.
Too bad. If only we could work out an entirely new approach. Then perhaps you'd watch us, hmm?
Stop being so tough, Trav. Everybody's forgiven you for having gone to college.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Craig, the story's no good.
It's the only one I've got on hand.
I'll tell you why it's no good. The punk there with a knife in his back was on the Harry Otis payroll.
Oh?
Wilma Lord is on the Otis payroll.
Must be a large payroll.
Among his varied and largely illegal activities, Otis also runs a supper club over on the east side. The Gilded Lily.
Mm-hmm.
You can have Wilma Lord for supper there 6 nights a week and twice on Sundays.
It's too early for supper.
The last couple of months, Otis has been very busy. Hovering up.
The Crime Commission?
The Crime Commission. Mr. Otis is a very large target for them. He's been doing his best to shrink recently. Wilma Lord could have come to you because she planned to concertize with the commission and wanted protection.
Why me?
You're big. You're good-natured. And, well...
I'm stupid?
No. But you like to believe people when they give you a chance to.
What about the Waring angle? Did she pick him out of the phone book?
There is no Waring angle. John Waring happens to be a distinguished philanthropist. That means a guy with so much money he can give some of it away.
Thanks for the translation. I still believe Wilma Lord's story.
Why? Because she's young, beautiful? Because she looked you straight in the eye when she told you all?
No, Trav. Because she was nasty. Homicide wound up and went away. One nice thing about it, after they were through, the office no longer needed dusting. The clock in the church tower across the street made noises. So after a while did my stomach. But I was waiting for a phone call. Maybe the cops would get Wilma Lord before she could reach a phone. Maybe Wilma Lord had no intention of phoning me. I've been a sucker before. I prefer it to being a wise guy. So I listened to the bells, ignored my stomach, and was rewarded. Hello?
Mr. Craig?
Yeah,
It's late. I thought you might have gone home.
I'm still here.
You're alone?
Yeah,
I've got to see you. That is, if after what happened you want to.
I want to. I always believe a client.
I didn't know you'd taken the case.
Where do we meet?
Well, not here at my apartment. It's too dangerous.
Wait a minute. Would there be a couple of cops sitting on your lap by any chance?
No.
Why not? They've got an alarm out for you.
Well, the apartment isn't in my name. Look, let's make it the park, the 67th Street entrance, in an hour.
The park in an hour. Oh, Miss Lord.
Yes.
Don't bring a friend. I locked the office door. Nothing in the office worth stealing, but this way, maybe I could tempt a burglar. I felt underprivileged. I'd never been burgled. The park was close enough so I could take a couple of hamburgers aboard at Willie's wagon. A couple of hamburgers and a cup of the stuff Willie calls coffee. Willie keeps his coffee urn shined. I was facing it. What I saw in the urn looked like what you see in the distorting mirrors in the Coney Island funhouse, except not so funny. Willie!
You got a complaint? Take it up with the mayor.
Take a look over my left shoulder, Willie.
Oh, it's gorgeous. You want I should pin a gardenia on it?
Somebody looking into the wagon had his face plastered against the window. I don't want to turn and tip him off.
Huh? You hitting the pipe again?
No face?
I bet you inhaled, too.
Oh, forget it, Willie. He must have ducked. Here. Take that up with the Bureau of Internal Revenue.
Boy, you throwing dough around. What's the matter? You had a horse in the fifth?
No. I had a corpse in the third. The park was half a dozen blocks over and west. I couldn't spot a tail on me, which didn't mean a thing. Good tails don't get spotted, especially working on me. I'm easy to keep in sight from a long way off. Nobody had moved the park around. The 67th Street entrance looked cozy and dark. I tossed a mental coin. Came up heads, which meant I should go home and spend a few hours asleep. Then I cheated. I went on into the park. An investigator's job is a funny one. Either you play it hard and believe nobody, which is fine. It's safe. You stay out of trouble. Maybe after 10 years, you're growing ulcers because nobody likes you, but an ulcer never killed anyone yet. Or else you believe people. Then you've got trouble. You're not smart. Except maybe it's not a choice. It kept getting darker. Not a choice because it depends on the way you're built. The way I'm built, you stick your neck out. I did. Only warning was a slide of feet on the gravel path. Whoop! If you're hit on the head hard enough, you get knocked out. All you remember afterwards is getting up. It's a memory you're willing to trade cheap.
The guy looks like he's returning to us, Mr. Otis.
He might have fractured his skull, Beeper.
Private eyes have got very thick skulls. All I know is I read about them all the time. Private eyes are always getting bopped on the skull. It don't bother him.
It bothers me.
Beeper, help the gentleman. Never mind.
Mr. Craig, I've got a headache.
I'm sorry Beeper is so enthusiastic.
Send him over a little closer to me. I'll calm him down.
I'm afraid not, Mr. Craig. Beeper is armed. He was acting on instructions from me.
Was he supposed to bring me in alive? I'm not that funny. How did he find me in the park?
He trailed you there from your office.
Uh-huh.
Rather a cold, unpleasant night, Mr. Craig. You often walk in the park.
I managed to get there from time to time.
You wouldn't have been meeting anyone there?
I could use a couple of aspirins.
Beeper was perhaps a little impatient.
How was I supposed to know he had an appointment?
Beeper.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Otis.
Well, Craig?
I could still use those aspirins.
I see. Well, perhaps it isn't very important.
What's more to the point, Mr. Craig, you had a visitor this afternoon.
I had lots of visitors, most of them in uniform.
I'm referring to the gentleman who preceded the police. The gentleman whose untimely death was responsible for the visit. You didn't happen to kill him by any chance?
The cops didn't think so.
They might be prejudiced. Also, you may have pleaded self-defense.
Otis, you know better than that. A man like you has pipelines to the department.
Very well. A question, then. What was the gentleman...
You mean the punk with the knife in his back?
...doing in your office?
He was dying there. Hey, I'm hearing music. Ringing in my ears?
A rather good little orchestra. They'd be insulted by your description.
Don't tell them about it. This wouldn't happen to be the Gilded Lily, would it?
You know the place?
Sure. Some of my best friends have had supper in it.
What was Jimmy doing in your office?
A punk? He might have been looking for a confidential investigator.
Oh? For what purpose?
To help him find his lost innocence, maybe.
Beeper.
I'm not joking. What job was he doing for you?
What makes you think he was doing anything at all for me?
He was on your payroll?
Indeed.
The cops told me. They're blabbermouths.
Pity about the civil service. Things would be so much easier otherwise.
You could buy more for less, huh?
You're not going to tell me why Jimmy came into your office?
I didn't say that. I'll tell you why. He was looking for the owner of the knife in his back.
Oh?
He never got around to telling me who it was. Would you like some information?
Very much. At what price?
We'll discuss that later. The information goes like this. Your boy came up in the elevator. He didn't have the knife in him then. He did have when he got to my office. So...
Someone presented him with a knife someplace between the elevator on your floor and your office.
Yeah. One thing more. It wasn't right outside the office door.
Oh?
He got it near the elevator. He went down. There were a couple of bloodstains on the hall floor indicating that. He went down, stayed down for a while, pulled himself to his feet, and made it to me.
Why?
You didn't like my previous suggestion?
No. Craig, whom did Jimmy follow to your office?
It'd be nice to know, wouldn't it? I mean, for me. Because you know, don't you?
You mentioned something about a price for the information. What price?
What do you think about matrimony?
I've no time to discuss philosophy at the moment.
Or philanthropy?
Beeper.
Yeah, Mr. Otis.
Up until this moment, I've been considering Mr. Craig an honest, if somewhat stupid man. Now I'm not so sure.
Yeah?
Either of his honesty or of his stupidity.
I can get you references on both counts.
I would like to be sure, Beeper.
I take him apart?
Unless Mr. Craig would like to tell us another story.
I'm out of stories.
You're in trouble, however. Beeper, we want Mr. Craig to explain his remarks about matrimony and philanthropy.
Yeah, hold it, Craig. I wouldn't mind plugging you in a leg, say. Give me excuse. You're gonna stand and take it nice? Okay. Take it. I hope the gun barrel don't scar you permanent. How about putting your arms behind your back, huh? It's gonna start getting painful soon. Thanks. Now, hey, who? Opportunity knocks.
No, Otis. I've just inherited a gun. Beepers. You weren't expecting company. Mr. Otis, I've been knocked unconscious. I've been pistol whipped. Maybe I'm sore.
I wasn't expecting company.
Yeah, that's the reason people were startled. All right, open the door. Let's see who it is.
Hello, Mr. Otis.
The Marine. Hello, Trav.
Hi, Craig. Mind if I come in?
The office belongs to Otis.
You're holding the gun.
That belongs to Beeper.
Beeper? He's lying down. Tired?
He ran into a doorknob. Have a gun on him.
Thanks. Who knows? Maybe he has a license for it. We'll see.
Exactly what do you want here, Lieutenant?
We've had the place staked out. Nobody we were interested in showed up. I got the report that a big man was carried in. Turns out it was Mr. Craig.
That's how it turns out.
The place staked out? And you're looking for...
If nobody minds, I'll get up.
In a hurry, Barrie?
I'm late.
For what?
A date.
Now, wait a minute. Way it looks, you were slugged and brought here.
I guess it does look that way.
You could prefer charges.
It was all in fun.
That welt across your face doesn't look funny.
One of the reasons I'm in a hurry.
What?
I want to have the nasty little bruise kissed away.
You're listening to Barrie Craig, confidential investigator on the golden age of radio theater. Once again, our star, William Gargan.
Lieutenant Rogers didn't argue with me. He wanted conversation with Otis and Beeper. Nobody had mentioned Wilma Lord yet. Not Otis, not Trav. But they were thinking of her. So was I. I tried the park. A couple of hours had died since the appointment, but I had to make sure. I made sure. Maybe Wilma Lord had been waiting for me. Maybe not. Either way, she wasn't waiting anymore. Trav would annoy Otis for a while. He had nothing to hold him on. He had nothing to hold Beeper on. For a while, Otis and Beeper would be busy with the lieutenant. After that, they might be busy about something else. I remembered Trav's definition of a philanthropist. I could use some money. My name is Barrie Craig.
Yes?
You're John Waring?
I am.
Mind if I come in?
It's rather late.
So late you sent the butler to bed, huh?
No, that is hardly... Who did you say you were?
Barrie Craig.
Should I know you?
Yes.
Why?
Because you're a philanthropist.
Good night.
I didn't finish. Because you're a philanthropist about to get married.
Come in.
Thanks.
In here, if you please. Now then. Your name is Barrie Craig. You're a reporter, perhaps?
Not exactly.
Then why your interest in my...
Marriage? I've been hired to make sure it goes through on schedule.
Hired? By whom?
Your fiancée.
My...
Didn't I use the right word?
You mean Miss Lord?
How many girls were you planning to marry?
Mr. Craig, I permitted you to enter my home because you seem to know about my marriage. I didn't expect you to insult me.
I'm sorry. Blood gets on my nerves.
Blood?
A man was murdered in my office today.
Then that's why...
That's why what?
Nothing. This man who was murdered, had he any connection with...
Your marriage?
Yes.
What do you think?
I can't think anything about it. I'm confused.
So confused you haven't thought of offering me a drink?
I beg your pardon. Oh.
Yeah. I could almost think you were expecting me. That's 2 glasses you've got sitting on that coffee table. With the drinks in them. One's rye by the color. The other?
Mr. Craig, you're in my home.
Looks like creme de menthe. A girl's drink.
I suppose it's too much to expect the behavior of a gentleman from a confidential investigator.
Yeah. We're the sorted type. I had an appointment with Miss Lord.
She kept it, didn't she?
Why don't we ask her?
Ask?
Nice drapes you've got. Pity they don't quite reach the floor.
Now, look here, young man.
Never mind, John.
Hello, Miss Lord.
Hello.
Did you decide the park was too cold at this time of the year?
What made you come here?
You wouldn't be holding up in your apartment, listed in your name or not. The cops are bright nowadays.
Well...
Where else would you duck for cover? It was simple. Lucky for me, it was simple. I get confused easy.
What do you want?
You hired me to do a job. I believed you. I always believe my clients. Sometimes I'm suckered, sometimes not. Because sometimes clients don't expect to be believed.
I resent all this...
Don't be in too big a hurry, Mr. Waring. Miss Lord was afraid that the marriage was going to be interrupted by murder.
Murder?
She didn't get around to telling me whose murder, yours or hers. Because another murder happened to somebody else.
I didn't...
Somebody on Harry Otis's payroll. Whose idea was this marriage?
I asked Miss Lord to be my wife.
And she said yes. Why?
You don't have to laugh at me.
Harry Otis. You were on his payroll too, Miss Lord. The Crime Commission was getting ready to ask him questions about his business, his tie-ins with officials, his backers.
I must ask
you... You were going to say leave. Let's pretend it was explained. Wilma Lord's young. She's beautiful. Maybe she could have wrangled a marriage offer out of you anyway. But her working for Otis can't be a coincidence. Sure you asked her to marry you. After she told you she knew about your connection with Otis.
My connection?
Financial. Dollar bills don't have pedigrees on them. That's a shame. How many of the dollar bills making up your bank account came out of Harry Otis's dirty enterprises?
This is absolutely unwarranted.
No. Up until 5 minutes ago, it was a guess. A stupid guess. Because I couldn't figure any other reason for the whole deal. Now it's not a guess anymore.
It's not a guess anymore.
Hello, Otis. I've been expecting you. And the gun.
That's nice. Beeper's outside with a gun, too.
And the car? With the motor idling?
Another stupid guess?
Sure.
The stupid ones give the most trouble. If you'd had brains enough, Craig, you'd have stayed out of this.
I couldn't. I was hired by Miss Lord.
I had to, Harry. I was
I
afraid.
had you set up. Waring was going to marry you, so you couldn't testify against him. Why'd you bury the knife in Jimmy's back?
I didn't.
I had him on you all the time.
Would you have had any reason for killing him, Otis?
What reason?
Not even a stupid guess.
Otis.
Yes.
This squabbling. It's unpleasant. And a waste of time.
Meaning what?
Whatever Miss Lord did or didn't do, Mr. Craig is now in a position to inform the Crime Commission of
our business association?
Yes. That would be disastrous. Not only for myself, but for you as well. I hesitate to suggest anything violent, but...
But what choice have we got?
Precisely.
No, there's been...
Get up, Wilma. You've still got Jimmy's death to account for.
Oh, you...
Miss Lord.
What?
Don't drink that.
What are you talking about? You took my drink away.
You in a hurry to die?
The man is insane. Otis.
Yeah, Otis. The man looking for a murderer.
What was wrong with the drink?
Another guess. A solid one this time. Wilma Lord's wanted by the police for the murder of your punk. Wilma Lord disappeared. Suppose she died in this house. Waring would have the body what? Buried? Burned? Either way, no more Wilma Lord. The cops would spend the next century looking for her. The case would be closed.
No.
Also, John Waring wouldn't have to marry her. He'd be rid of a witness against him. What he had in mind for you, Otis, I wouldn't know. But he had something in mind. Then he'd be free. He could go on being philanthropic.
It's childish melodrama.
Murder's melodrama, only it's not childish. Mr. Waring, when I walked in here, you asked me if I was a reporter. The gag being you'd never seen me, heard of me before. But a little later on, you said something about a confidential investigator not being a gentleman.
You must have followed me, too.
You said Wilma Lord had kept her appointment with me. How did you know? If she told you, you wouldn't have confused me with a reporter. If she didn't...
Wait a minute. He was checking on her because he was planning to get rid of her.
But your boy Jimmy spotted him on the third floor where my office is. Nobody else would have had any motive for killing him. Waring had to because it tipped his hand about his plan for the girl.
Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Then suppose you drink this, huh?
I detest creme de menthe.
Drink it, Waring.
I shall leave now. I find this highly
I
distasteful.
said drink it.
You're being a fool. A fool.
Had to be done.
Done. The reason I knew the drink was poisoned. Take a sniff at it, Otis.
Don't bother.
A deep sniff. So sorry. Got it in your eyes. Thanks for the gun.
You...
Mustn't lose your temper. Waring killed Jimmy. Sure. But you had to kill Waring, didn't you? If you'd turned him over to the cops, he'd have blabbed. The Crime Commission.
Beeper!
Beeper? You know something, Otis? You must be a sinking ship.
From May 7th, 1951, the Golden Age of Radio Theater has presented Barrie Craig, Confidential Investigator. In just a moment, a listener from Albuquerque, New Mexico wants to know what show referred to the lonesomest mile in the world. I'll be back to answer that in just a few moments. A listener from Albuquerque writes about what show referred to the lonesomest mile in the world. Well, that's the way the character Danny Clover, a New York City cop played by Larry Thor, described his beat, which was from Times Square to Columbus Circle, the grandest, the most violent, and the lonesomest mile in the world. The show was Broadway is My Beat. It was written by Morton Fine and directed by Elliott Lewis. Broadway is My Beat debuted on CBS in 1949. Well, great old-time radio shows are my beat on the Golden Age of Radio Theater. This is Victor Ives speaking, thanking you for being with us and inviting you to join us next time. We turn back the clock to relive the golden moments of radio's yesteryear and bring you the greatest radio shows of all time.
For a copy of today's program, call 1-800-326-0296 and refer to show number 14. That number again is 1-800-326-0296. And remember to refer to show number 14